What's up guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today I'm going to be teaching you JavaScript syntax. And so I'm going to show you how to create a variable. So let's start by declaring the variable. So let's do let, that's going to be let, and then the name of our variable. So we can do something like x, we could just do single, doesn't matter. We can do car, if it's the name of a car or something. We can do, dog, or we can do like sport. It doesn't matter. You can name whatever you want. But I'm going to actually just change it to num. And that's short for number. And then after that, we're going to be adding an equal sign. And then we can add or I guess we're going to set the variable now. And it's going to be a number. So let's just set it to 8. And now we're going to end up with a semicolon like this. And don't forget to save it. And so now, if we actually open this with last server, open with last server, and you can see that nothing is happening here. And even if I go to our developer console, you can see that we have nothing here. And the reason for that is because we just declared this num variable, but we're not doing anything with it. So one thing we can do is print it or, make an alert. So I'm just gonna alert it. And to alert variables, you're just gonna use their names. So if you put something like x, then you're gonna put x here. But I chose num, so I'm gonna write num here. And if you actually take a look here, you can see that it says let num, and that's a number. And if I change it to a string, so I add these two, then that means that it's a text now. And if I hover here, you can see that it says string now. So if you're writing text, so let's say I did text, right? So here, if I just did like something like hello world, then you can see that we would get an error. And the reason for that is because we have to add or put our text inside of these right here. And now if we actually print this out like this, and go back, then you can see that it works. And there's a lot of different ways we can use variables, and I'm going to show you another one. So let's delete this, and let's write like an introduction, like something you'd say when you introduce yourself to someone. So let's start by creating a let, and that's going to be the name. And so you can set this to whatever you want. I'll just set it to Bob. And then let's make another one. So let's do let's. And then this one's going to be our age, or Bob's age. And so this one's going to be equal to an integer, and that means that it's a number. And so this right here, this is going to be a string, and then our age is going to be an integer, and Bob's going to be 25 years old. And so now what we could do is either print it out or make another string or make another variable. And let's actually do that. So let's do let introduction, and that's going to be equal to, and then we can let's set this to my name is, and instead of just writing Bob here like this, I'm going to change this to capital B. Instead of writing Bob like this, what we could do is actually add this variable to our introduction. And to do that, what we're going to do is after this, after here, we're going to add a plus, and then the name of our variable, that's going to be name. And so now we can add, now we're going to add more text. So my name is name, and that's going to be Bob, plus, so mine is going to be Bob, and I'm, and we add our age. So it's going to be, my name is Bob, and now we're going to add our age. Now we have to add years old. So now what's happening here is we have this text. So we have our three variables, right? We have the name, and that's going to be equal to Bob. And then we have Bob's age, and that's going to be 25. And so we have another variable, which is going to be our introduction. And this introduction, we use text like this, and then we use our variables. So let's read this. So we have my name is, and then we're going to add our variable, which is going to be name. So our variable name is going to be here. So it's going to be my name is Bob, and I'm age, and that's going to be 25 years old. And so let's see what happens when I print this out. So let's do um, console.log. I'm going to make this bigger because it's a bit smaller. Anyway, and then I'm going to put the introduction here like this. And so now let's see what it looks like. So I'm going to open it with Live Server. And I didn't alert it, so I'm going to open the developer console. And you can see right here that it says my name is Bob and I'm 25 years old. And so if it didn't work for you, then go back here and see if you did something wrong or anything wrong and try again. But if you have, then good job. And now we're going to move on. So delete all of this code right here, or comment it out if you want to remember it, or do whatever you want with it. But now I'm going to show you how to change a variable. So let's say we declare x, and you don't have to set it at first. So you can just do let x and just add a semicolon, and we're not going to get any errors. So let's actually go here, and I'm going to make it smaller. It's too big. And you can see that there's no errors, so it's all right. And so now we've just declared x, and let's actually see what happens when I print it out. So I'm just going to do alert. And then, never mind, I'll just do console.log. And then let's do x. So let's see what happens. So you can see it says unidentified. So that's what happens when you set variables, or you have variables and, they're just set to nothing. You'll get an unidentified. And I'm going to show you how to set our x. So what you would do is just, get our x, and then we just do equal to whatever. So we can do hello world, and then we have to add semicolon at the end. And so now we can just console, not confirm, console.log it and see if it works. So let's see. And you can see that it works perfectly fine. And you can actually do the same thing with declared variables. So let's say that x is going to be equal to hello, hello, like this. And then we print it out. So let's do console.log x, and then after we decide to change our x to, let's say, I don't know, world. So whoops, world, and now we print it again. So console.log, and then it's going to be x. And now let's see what's going to happen. So when we go back, you can see that at first, I'm going to actually do this real quick. So let's take a look. So we're setting x to hello, and then we're printing x out. So you can see that we've printed x. And so a line after, you can see that we're setting x to world, and then we're printing out again. So now you can see that our variable x has changed to world. And so when you get more advanced in JavaScript and any other languages, then this is going to be very useful. And this works with a variable, so with var too. Works the same way, but it doesn't work. So I'm going to reload just to show you, but this doesn't work with const. And so what even is var and const? Well, so we have let, and then we have var and const. And all of these three are just ways that we can declare our variables. And so you can see that here, I changed it from let to var, and nothing really changed. And that's because they basically do the same thing, but they're a bit different, and I'm not going to go over exactly how, but var is mostly used in old code or older code, and sometimes used, I guess now, but it's in specific situations, and so you're going to see let more. And so there's const, and what even is it? So let's do const, and now, so let's set x, right? Now let's console.log it, and see what happens. So it's going to be hello world. Now I'm just going to keep it at hello. So now when we go back and I keep reloading, you can see that it still works. But now what's the difference if it still works? Well, let's see. There's one big difference. You can't change a const once you've already set it. So if I go under here and try to set it to something different, so let's do x, it's going to be equal to world. And now if we print it out, so console.log, our x again, and we go here, you can see that our hello works, and then we get this error. So when you set a const, you can never change it back, and so it's pretty useful and specific cases, but what we're going to be using now most of the time is going to be our let. And so a big reason that people use lets everywhere, or I guess just variables instead of just having text. So let's actually go back to our first or our introduction. So I'm gonna do this real quick. So let age or name, let's set it to Mike this time, right? And then let's do the same thing for age, and then we can set this to 30. And for these ones, you can set it to const because we're not going to change them, or if you will, then just keep it at let. And then we're going to make another one. That's going to be introduction. So let's do this real quick. So we're going to do hello, my name is name plus my name is Mike, and I am plus age, years old. And so now if we actually alert this, so introduction, I'll give you a second to pause if you need to. Let's go back here. Then you can see it says, hello, my name is Mike, and I am 30 years old. And so the reason that variables are actually useful is because when you have a lot of code, or when you use the same variable a lot of times, so I don't know, let's say you make a website and then you need to change something. So let's say the name of something or whatever, and instead of just going to when you have a website, you have a lot of files, and instead of just going to change it, or have a lot of lines, instead of just changing it one by one, you can just declare it with a let. And so we can just change it up here. So let's say we had like a lot of lines here, and then we had we used name or age a lot more times. Then instead of just changing one by one, we can just go up here and then change this to Bob if we wanted to, and then I don't know, 15, right? So when we go back, you can see that now it's going to say, hello, my name is Bob, and I'm 15 years old. And last thing I'm going to be talking about is going to be some different types of variables. So here, I should have just set this to 30, but here, as you can see, we have two types. So it's going to be text, and you have to remember this. So text is going to be strings. So you can see that our text is going to be a string, and then numbers are mostly going to be number or integers or ints. So there's different ways in which you can call this. So you can call this 30 an int, integer, or number. And there's different types of integers. There's doubles, there's floats, but just call this a number for now. So right here we have our text, number, and I'm going to show you one more, even though there's a bit more. So let's set something. Let's do something like I don't know, morning, and then our morning is going to be set to true. So if we hover here, you can see it's going to be called a boolean, and boolean variables, you can only set them to true or false. And so if we go here, you can see that morning is going to be equal to true, and so that means that it's the morning, or morning wherever, or whatever this is supposed to be. And so remember this, we have strings, integers, and booleans. And in booleans, you mostly use for statements. So like, if morning equals to true, then we do this. And you use integers, and you still use integers and strings, but mostly I use booleans more. But yeah, so this is gonna be it for this video. If you guys have any questions, then please leave a comment down below. Like this video if you liked it, sub to the channel for more content like this, and see you in the next video.